Hi everyone, my name is Michelle and this is my new YouTube channel. Today is my 61st birthday and I decided to do it today for so many reasons, but one of them being the assassination of Charlie Kirk. We both have the same birthday. Obviously not the same year, but him and I share the same birthday. So I thought that that was really cool and a really awesome way to start off this podcast called In Your Arms. And yes, it is going to be a podcast, also a YouTube channel. And I want to carry on the conversations that he had regarding life before birth. I want to be very sensitive on how I use terminology because I don't want to be banned. I want this to get through. So I'm going to be very cautious about how I talk about it. But I have something to say, and I think that the one thing that Charlie didn't have was life experience. He was 31 years old, and I don't know that he personally, and I could be wrong because maybe he did, but I don't know if he ever talked about it. I've never seen it, that he personally had to deal with life before birth and exactly why you would make the decisions that you would make. So today I'm going to give you, and this is probably going to turn into a two-parter because it is long, but I'm going to give you and share with you my story. Everyone's story matters. I think that when people share their stories, other people listen if they can see that they too also had to make decisions based on their life story. So that is why I'm sharing my life story, which I really don't think that I've shared with anyone. Some of you, my family and friends, know part of this story, but I don't think you all know the whole story. So that's where I want to start. And like I said, it's probably going to be more than just this one video, because I'm going to delve into very intense and hard for me to talk about details and say it out loud. So I'm going to start off with saying that the other person involved with my story is my high school sweetheart, then husband, who is now deceased. And we had many, many discussions later on in life about decisions that we made as teenagers. At the time, I had said to him, I'm going to write a book about this. I want our story out there. And he said, do what you got to do. He was like all for it. He said, if you want to write a book about it, write a book. So I have his blessing. Like I said, he passed away a couple of years ago from brain cancer. And I think about it often. I think about what we did as teenagers and how 16-year-olds really shouldn't make very adult decisions, but we had to, and we did, and I'm going to talk about the consequences of the decisions that we did make as 16-year-olds, things that we talked about as 40 and 50-year-olds because we never got over it. And that's my main point in wanting to talk about life before birth, because everybody thinks that the decisions that you make at that time have no consequences, or that you're somehow making your life better or something. And I want to show you that it did the exact opposite for us. And I think for many people who have been in the same situation. So let's just start off as me and him. His name was Brian. We were high school sweethearts. We dove into a very serious relationship fairly quickly. I think that a lot of 16-year-olds do that. I mean, we were in love. We were like, oh my God, we are so in love. This is forever and ever. And that's kind of how we went about our dating, which seems absolutely insane saying it out loud. But we did. Taking back to my senior year, his junior year. It's September 1982, and he is a football player. I am a cheerleader. After the game, we go to a party. At this party, we actually drove his parents' light blue Thunderbird to the party. Went into the party, and I guess we decided to leave at some point. I mean, it had been a long day. We were in school, then we had a football game. Now we're at a party, so it's like 10 o'clock at night, say, maybe even later, and we decide we're gonna go home. But before we decide we're gonna go home, and I don't know how to use the terminologies without getting banned from here, but you can imagine we decide to have sex, and we'll see if that gets banned. There were no condoms, and I was not on birth control. And we, in our 16-year-old brains, were like, oh, it's just once. I mean, what can happen? We are careful 99.9% of the time. We are responsible 16-year-old children. So we are going to just say, it's just once, no big deal. Hence, it's like late September. My birthday is October 14th. We go through my birthday. I want to say shortly thereafter, I started to not feel good in the mornings. I chalked it up to anxiety or, I always had like a weird stomach. So kind of blew it off for a little bit. Finally, it got worse. I was like, this seems like I could be pregnant. Seems like that thing that they call morning sickness, which I had no idea what that was. So I get through, like somehow through the morning until around fourth period. I had trig in end of a math hallway, and right outside the door was a door to go outside, which kids can't do anymore. But I would make it through trig, run outside after, and just puke my brains out. Now, Brian had a class at the same time in that hallway. So being the most awesome boyfriend ever, he would show up with napkins and hold me, while I was puking, and, we get me all cleaned up. And then I had first lunch, so I could make it to lunch. I would get to lunch and then I'd be able to eat finally. We did this for a while, seriously, not saying a word to anyone. I don't know how I got through it, but neither one of us said anything to anyone. I cheered, he played football, everything was normal, except for, every day I'm throwing up after fourth period and, whatever. So we decided that we needed to have a serious talk about this situation and, kind of deal with it head on, per se. And we decide, okay, we are keeping the baby. In my wisdom of I don't know what, we're like 9 months. We went back to that time, calculated, okay, 9 months is the end of June. I'll have graduated. No big deal. We're having the baby. He was for it. I was for it. No talk of eliminating the pregnancy at all. That was the deal. So now we're into November. I'm still getting sick. I don't know how I make it through weekends. I really just don't remember. I only remember my weekdays and being at school. We're coming up against Thanksgiving. We're like, okay, we got to tell our parents. How are we going to do that? Well, in Brian's wisdom, as a 16-year-old boy, he says, let's run away. And then they'll be so upset about us running away that when they find us and we come back and then we tell them we're pregnant, they're going to be okay about it. That's the plan. We're going to make it through Thanksgiving game because I was a cheerleader. He was a football player. And we were like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to make it through the Thanksgiving Day game. And then the Monday after Thanksgiving, we're going to run away to I don't know where. And I'm going to stop it right there because this is getting long. So much more to say about that. So stay tuned for part 2, which may be even a part 3. But I really want to get through this, and I can't believe I made it through this part without crying. So that is a bonus. I'm really, really happy about that, but there is way more to come. So stay tuned. Thank you if you made it this far. Thank you for watching, and I hope you come on this journey with me.